I always wanted to live in a place that had good diversity of native plants. And living in Arizona, I had to live in town, and I didn't have control over the plants that we grew in our yard. I knew that native mesquites, for example, were an amazing attractant for a variety of birds because of the insects that are in mesquites. All kinds of wintering birds, migrant birds, and nesting birds rely upon the native mesquites. And the predominant species grown in Tucson, in much of the urban areas in southern Arizona, is a non-native mesquite that doesn't have nearly the diversity. So when I finally moved back to Oregon and I now own my own house, the first thing I wanted to do was just fill it full of native species. You know, build it and they will come. And I forget how many hundreds of species of invertebrates and fungi I have since documented from my yard, but it's much more than I thought it would be. Several hundred species. I just added a new
That's
species.
without birds, right?
That's without the birds, yeah. And I figured if there's going to be a big diversity of insects in the yard, I can grow vegetables without too many pests, because there will be things that eat the pests or parasitize them.
Right.
And then the birds will come because they'll feed on the caterpillars and other insects that are in the yard. So I was already doing this before I read Doug Tallamy's ideas on homegrown national park. And what he's written, it provides the data, the solid data, why this works. They know, he's done research, he's had graduate students do research that count the number of caterpillars a pair of chickadees need to bring off a clutch of young. And where do those caterpillars occur? They occur in native plants almost exclusively. And so he's been advocating that we get rid of most of our lawn, leave the leaves, and convert non-native planting, so at least 70% native.
When I first moved here, the whole backyard was lawn, except for a small plum tree and the raised beds. And so there was no cover for birds, and one of the most important things you can do to have attract birds in your yard, besides planting any kind of native plant, is to put cover in. Brush pile is the quickest instant cover. You can plant shrubs, but it might take a few years for them to get big enough. And when I first moved here, that first winter, I started working on the yard. I heard a fox sparrow in my neighbor's yard across from the mailboxes. They have a great big dense shrub of this Portuguese laurel and other growth there that I could hear the fox sparrow chipping in. Every time I got the mail, I could hear it. And later in the winter, I created my brush pile. I removed the lilac, and I pruned my peach trees and the plum trees and the apple trees. And in one day, I had a brush pile, and the next day, I had the fox sparrow. It moved into my yard.
So when you're not looking at bugs or birds or planting native plants in your garden, how do you fill your time?
Oh gosh, there's no end to stuff that I'd like to do. I have hobbies. I actually do like to go out birding still. So, but I like patch birding. You know, patch birding.
Yeah.
That's when you go to the same place again and again, and you get to know it really well, and maybe
Or your 5 mile radius.
Yeah, your 5 mile radius. I like to go to Highland and Landing County Park now and try to see birds there that I haven't seen before, and interesting to see how it's different from year to year, the different numbers of chickadees and kinglets from one year to the next. 2 years ago, there was full of fairy thrushes this time of year, and there's not a single one there right now. At home, I'm increasingly seeing different species of invertebrates in the yard, so I like to putter around the garden and take pictures of new stuff and upload them to iNaturalist. I just got 3 species of slug last night and a new species of spider. None of them are native, unfortunately. I play piano, so I enjoy playing piano at home. Just I don't know, it's just almost a brainless sort of thing to do, rather than watch TV. I don't have a TV. I enjoy making music with other people, singing. So I sing in a couple different groups, and I like to cook. I like to garden and put up my garden, so I have lots of food in jars and in my freezer. I enjoy knitting.
Interesting.
So I knit clothing for myself, scarves, gloves, hats, sweaters, and I also knit gifts for friends.
In closing, I'd like to ask you, when you're out in the field and you're showing, friends and clients things about nature that they might otherwise overlook, what do you hope they take away from that experience?
Well, a greater appreciation of the biodiversity in an area. A lot of people come on a birding tour who never have stopped to look at butterflies or plants and don't realize how there's a connection. So I do like to talk about how birds need native plants, whether it be in the tropics or here at home.
There's that teacher again, huh?
And then I also, especially on my South America tours, we visit sites that have benefited, and the birds that occur there have benefited from programs by the American Bird Conservancy. So I'm one of several ambassadors for the American Bird Conservancy to let people know that it's one of the most effective bird conservation organizations out there, the best bang for your buck, so to speak. They have many different angles that they use to try to conserve birds, such as preventing excess deaths. So they have their Cats Indoors program and working with different jurisdictions on making buildings safer for birds so that there's no window collisions, lighting, types of glass. But they also do stuff in Central and South America for birds that are very local endemics or birds that even migrate in this connectivity program as well. So I let people know that, like in the tour I just did to Bahia, they have worked with the program that's conserving the indigo macaws and their breeding sites. And they've worked at Ceja Bonita as well, which is in the Atlantic rainforest, a highly endangered ecosystem, to help them acquire land.
So they reach out beyond the United States.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, thanks a lot for coming and sharing your time with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you.